All right, we're back with Let's Eat It. Let's Eat with Russ. Today we're going to make blueberry pancakes from real ingredients, so without using a mix or dried blueberries or something gross. It's just one of the little clamshells, the small ones of fresh blueberries. In my opinion, it's the only way to do it. So I just got 2 cups of flour already in the bowl here, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of just plain sugar, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and if you're measuring it out, just in case you don't know, a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. So I do it a little quicker and just do a full tablespoon and then 1 more teaspoon rather than measuring out all 4. And we're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, which I'll just measure out real quick there, and a 1/2 teaspoon of table salt, and then we just whisk all these dry ingredients together real quick here. And then we're basically ready to add our wet ingredients. Everybody says to make a little well in the middle. I don't know how much that really makes a difference personally. So we're going to add 1 egg. If you're concerned about shells, you can crack it into a bowl first, just to make sure you don't have any shells. I rarely get shells when I crack an egg one-handed like that. I find it's easier to use one hand than 2. This is just a 1/2 stick of butter, so 2 ounces or a 1/4 cup. You want that melted, but you don't want it hot, because then it'll start cooking your egg or whatever. This is 1 3/4 cups of milk. You can use whole milk, skim milk, whatever milk, it doesn't really matter. And then I actually prefer to use just a wooden spoon instead of the whisk for this mixing portion. Oh, and I forgot I need 2 teaspoons of vanilla in there as well. It's not too late. And then just give that a good mix. You don't need to get it completely smooth. It's actually better if it's got just a few lumps left in it. Make sure you get that yolk broken so that you can get the egg mixed in fully with the batter. So that's pretty good. It's actually a tiny bit on the thin side. I'm going to add just a little bit more flour. I'll just do this by hand. Just throw in a little bit more to thicken it up a little bit. Even though there's measurements for the recipe, I kind of trust my eyeballs and instinct a little bit more. You want it to be a little bit on the thick side, but not so much that it won't drip off of a spoon. And if you get it too thick, then your pancakes will be super thick and probably not fully cooked on the inside. So then I'm just going to jump in again the fresh bowl of blueberries. It's about, I think those little clamshell things are about 6 ounces. And there you go, your batter is basically ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and heat up the pan so we're ready to cook them, and we'll get these guys going here in just a second. Should be about time to start cooking. Preheated the pan over kind of medium-low heat, and as usual I like to just get a few drops of water on my hand, and if they kind of dance or instantly vaporize like that, we should be pretty much good to go. Personally, I like to throw some butter into the pan, even if it is a non-stick. If nothing else, it'll just add a little bit of more butter to the pancakes, which most people do anyway after they're cooked. and it'll help with non-stick purposes also. So make sure we got a good coating there. And for portioning the pancakes, I actually like to just use a 1/4 cup measuring cup. Make sure I get enough blueberries in each one to some degree. And I don't have a ideal griddle pan here with me right now, so I'm just making do with a large skillet. It'll work fine, I just can't cook as many at once. So normally I can fit about 3 in here without them commingling too much. Problem is with this burner in this little small kitchen, I don't get real good even heat on this large skillet. So halfway through, what I'll usually do is try to rotate them 180 so that the edges gets cooked as much as the middle does. So I'm gonna get these cooking and probably just fast forward through this. Ideally, you wanna flip them when you start to see bubbles bubbling up in the batter side and the edges start to look a little bit cooked. So they look like they're about ready to flip over. I already did the 180 rotate, but that was probably in high speed, so you might not have noticed it. But nevertheless, the way I did that without putting one on the other one and have them crash into each other. By the way, the easiest way to get underneath pancakes and fried eggs, I do the same techniques. Just get the tip of your spatula underneath and then just quickly go under it. Rather than trying to push it underneath, just snap it underneath. So the way I did the rotation was I just kind of turned the pan and turned my wrist both and then just slid it off. But because the outside edge is more cooked than the inside edge, see, we got bubbles coming out of here, so they're about ready to flip. So I'm not going to flip them this way, which would put that portion on the cooler part of the pan. I'm going to flip them this way, and again, same technique. Snap under it quickly. And then you don't want to try to flop it over. That's how you're going to end up landing on a different pancakes. You want to kind of sort of stay in your lane, so to speak, and even back up a couple of inches so that it flops where it belongs. Just like that. Oops. And once you get them to this flip over state, the bottom cooks up pretty fast. So it's literally seconds or a minute. No more than 2 minutes for sure will be plenty. And you can always check that just by peeking underneath, lift it up a little bit, and look. If it looks like it's cooked, it probably is. So this would just be, like I said, a few seconds. And then the way I like to keep them warm, you can just take like a wicker basket or even a saucepan if you don't have anything else. In this case, I'm just using a glass pie plate. I already made one earlier just as a test. And by the way, if your kitchen towel is important to you, these will stain it with blueberry juice. But yeah, once they're cooked and they're ready, you can just throw them into the whatever your container is with a towel there and just wrap them up in the towel. I actually like to set that in the microwave because it just exposes them to less air and they cool down a little bit more slowly. And you know, once you cook off all of your pancakes, I would assume you're planning on eating them. And if you have leftover, you can definitely store them. You know, throw them in a Ziploc bag, try to get all the air out. You can store them in the freezer for weeks at least, in the fridge for, you know, a few days, maybe a week. And personally, I've heard you can store pancake batter, but I don't really believe in that. I'd rather store cooked pancakes than pancake batter. So anyway, in just a second, I'll show you how I prefer to actually serve these once they're all cooked and ready. All right, we're ready to serve them up. And again, I'm just going to show you the way I prefer to do this with the blueberry. I get it. Everybody knows how to put syrup on pancakes. I don't prefer to do it that way because I don't personally like the maple mixed with the blueberry flavor. So, like I said, told you this would stain your kitchen towel with blueberry juice. So I'll just grab a couple out of here. And what I do is just, well, like most people would with pancakes, I just melt butter on them. But while I let that melt down a little bit, what I like to do, and I'll just do a measurement on it anyway, but normally I just kind of eyeball it. I prefer cinnamon and sugar on a blueberry pancake personally, so I'm just doing 2 tablespoons of sugar. And like I said, normally I would just eyeball it, but for the sake of this video, I'll actually measure it out. So most people would probably say to do equal parts. I feel like that's a little heavy on the cinnamon personally. So I'm going to do a teaspoon at a time until it looks right to me. And you can go a little heavy with the teaspoon. See, even that, we're basically almost already there. I'll do 2 teaspoons. I bet that covers it. So, and the easiest way to mix that up is to just use a fork, in my opinion. And just mix that together until it looks like it's about homogenized. And obviously, if you have leftover cinnamon and sugar, it's easy to just throw it in any kind of a container or bowl. It's not like it's going to go bad on you or anything. So now that we got that mixed up, whoops, I'm losing my butter already over here. Might have scooped out more than I needed for these. Yeah, I think I did. So I'm actually going to put that back over there, and yeah, this should easily cover them both. And yes, I'm well aware that I'm going a little heavy on the butter with these. I didn't quite plan it that way, but it'll actually work out better for the video because once I get the cinnamon and sugar on them, which I'm not going to even use a spoon, I'll just do a dusting this way. If you have enough melted butter, that cinnamon and sugar kind of soaks in versus just being dusted on top. And I don't have any at the moment, but another thing I would really like to put on blueberry pancakes would be lemon curd. Believe it or not, the lemon and the blueberry flavors go together really well. And you don't have to put blueberries in these. You could make chocolate chip pancakes or walnut pancakes, banana pancakes, whatever. Using the same pancake recipe, just mix in whatever you want. So I went ahead and went with the blueberry. So anyway, if you make them, I hope you like them. That looks pretty good to me. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.